And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We're here to speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world. Yes, Jerusalem, Israel. Everything's happening. People actually are commenting. This phrase is catching on. I got 2 comments today about it that people got a little wrong, but this is it. We are living in the future. This is going to be the future capital of the world. Mark my words. I'm going to not be alive to see it, but mark my words. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, at Lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaron Katsman, aaronkatzman.com. You can find me on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to a brand new YouTube channel where you get all the content in one place. So I'm going to do another one of these short videos. The last one was like, people were like, I was walking on the street and they were like, thank God you don't talk so much. It was like 5 minutes in and out. And I was like, okay, we want another one of those. So I'm going to do another one of those for you. This is a really important issue that we're going to speak about because I'm getting calls and emails nonstop. And that's a question for those people living in Israel whose monies are in the US and the exposure they have to currencies, i.e. the US dollar versus the Israeli shekel exchange rate, where we've seen a rapid depreciation of the dollar and an appreciation of the shekel, which means that people who are living in dollars need to use more of their dollars to get the same amount of shekels they were getting a year ago. And people are panicked about it. Now, first of all, somebody called me up today and said, yeah, it's the shekel strengthened by over 15% this year against the dollar. Well, we're talking about the year 2020. That's not true. It's about 7%. The shekel started out the year at around 345 and change, and now we're at 321 and a half or so. So it's about a 7% decline. Now, that's not great. Obviously, I'm not poo-pooing it. But for people who are invested, even in moderate investment portfolios in 2020, their portfolio probably, and if it didn't, maybe you should give me a call. I'm just kidding. Probably did more than that 7%, which means on a net level, you're still ahead. Even in local shekel currency terms, you still had a positive year in the markets. And I think people need to take a step back and have a little bit of perspective, not necessarily just get caught up in, oh my God, my friend told me the shekel rate's down to 3.2. Because ultimately, if you made a lot more money in the market, okay, you don't get it in its entirety, but your net versus the shekel is still positive. So that's number one. What can you do to maybe cushion the blow? So there's a few things you can do. I spoke to somebody today, for example, who sends money that he lives on every single month to Israel. So the first thing I would say is don't do that. Do it more like on a quarterly basis, send money here. First of all, you're going to cut down on the transfer costs. That's important, right? That's money that could go into your pocket. That's number one. But number two is by transferring a little bit more money at a time, you're actually hedging yourself. You're not stuck, or you're not at the mercy of sort of the day-to-day shekel movements, but you do it once a quarter. At the end of the day, you're going to get a much more average price of the shekel as opposed to really, trying to time it on a daily basis, which I don't think is a great idea. That's number one. Number two is maybe to bring in a lot more money, not a lot more money, but maybe if you're living solely off of, you're supplementing your income solely off of what you have in the States, bring over a year and a half worth of monies that you need. Probably you don't have an emergency fund to begin with. So that can work as sort of an emergency fund on steroids, let's say, more than you need in an emergency fund, but a lot of money. So you don't have to worry about the shekel exchange rates. And you can get some of that money even into shekel. You can try investing it. Now, beware, we'll do another video about that, but it's not so simple for American citizens to invest in the local Israeli Tel Aviv Stock Exchange or any other local non-US stock market. You have to know what you're doing, or else you're going to get stuck with PFIX and all kinds of things like that, which can have a very heavy tax burden. But we'll speak about that at another time. The other thing that you can do is you can diversify your currency exposure in your US brokerage account. What do I mean by that? Well, you can have international non-US dollar exposure. With us, for example, you can actually hold foreign currencies. We have like 55 currencies that I'm able to hold for you. So if you want the, I don't know, the Botswanian whatever, hey, we got it for you. But more importantly, if you're living, whether it's in Israel or you're living in France, whatever it is, you can actually put some of that currency into your US brokerage account. You can buy securities in your US brokerage account. So that goes a long way in helping, again, hedge the currency. You're never going to fully hedge the currency, and hedges come with costs. But that is not a bad idea. I've got quite a few clients who actually hold shekels in their US brokerage account, and they invest in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. So that's not a bad solution either. So we spoke about 3 different things you can do. Number 1, don't send money every month, because you can cut down on your expenses, but maybe focus on a more quarterly kind of thing. Number 2, send over a bigger chunk of money, maybe what you're going to need on an annual basis or for 18 months, or even more, and get that money invested locally in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, with one caveat that you know how to invest. Speak to a professional. Again, because if you invest incorrectly, I'm not going to get into the minutia right now, but if you invest incorrectly, then you're subject to, I would say, prohibitively high taxes in the US. Of course, I'm not an accountant. I don't pretend to be one on TV, but those are all issues you should check out. And number 3, as I said, within your US brokerage account, you should diversify currencies. Now, you can either do that through, ETFs, which invest outside the United States, or you can actually hold foreign currency in most brokerage accounts. You can hold euros, you can hold shekels, you can hold sterling, whatever you want, you can put it in. As I mentioned, I actually have clients who hold shekels and have shekel-based investments in their US brokerage account. So that's another thing that can be done to help alleviate or hedge the strong shekel versus the dollar. But again, as I started out by saying, calm down if you've got a US brokerage account, because chances are that in 2020, you actually had a good year nonetheless, even in net terms. If you translate your account into shekels, you still had a positive year financially. You have been attending the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual, soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, AARON, at lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatsman, aaronkatzman.com. You can find me on Twitter. And be sure, I beg you, to subscribe to the brand new YouTube channel. You can find me by searching on YouTube at Aaron Katzman, and be sure to subscribe. We're going to do another one of these short videos because I know you all like it. So stay tuned. We'll be with you really, really soon.